Well, Maximilian Hess is fellow at Foreign Policy Research Institute. He joins me now from Astana. Maximilian, it's great to have you on the program. Moving beyond the controversy in the United States over who has what documents where, it seems as if it's plaguing everyone from every party. When you think about what happens next with regards to these tanks specifically, I mean, they can't do much until they're on the ground there. So how quickly do you think that they're going to be making a difference for Ukraine?
Certainly. Well, thank you for having me. I think that the Leopard tanks in particular, not necessarily the German ones, but some of the ones that Poland has indicated it plans to supply can get there on the ground fairly quickly, as early as potentially March. I wouldn't expect them before. The U.S. Abrams tanks, however, will be a much slower delivery, and I don't think we should expect them in the foreseeable future.
And in terms of, this move by Germany, I think this is fascinating. I spoke with the Chancellor almost exactly a year ago at the Munich Security Conference. That was just days before the invasion. And he essentially was saying to me, we're going to attempt not to press the issue with President Putin because we don't want to escalate. That was over a year ago now. And that was at a time when the Ukrainians were saying, we've got to preemptively sanction them. We've got to get ahead of this. Of course, Europe, NATO did not do that, and here we are today. In your mind, what was holding Olaf Scholz back here?
Well, I think the SPD, Scholz's party, has historically long taken a sort of softer stance on Russia, but that's something that was really spread across the German political continuum, at least in the mainstream. Germany has, for reasons, a lot of reticence towards action that could be seen as escalatory. But of course, Russia had long invested in Germany and had worked together with a lot of senior German politicians to try to build up what was at the time labeled as interdependence.
I know that, but I thought that was pretty much over. I mean, I've had so many German CEOs, including the CEO of Uniper, essentially saying to me that we're not going to work with Germany again. I mean, we've had that message consistently. So what in your mind, I mean, was it the fear of a spring offensive? It is the fear of tactical nuclear weapons? I mean, what is it that kept you think the Chancellor from saying, okay, I'm going to send these tanks?
I think that there is starting to be a realization, and if there isn't yet in Berlin, it has to come, and it has to come in other places. But I think Scholz was ultimately convinced that the longer Russia's invasion goes on, the more that Ukraine will have to switch to NATO standard kit almost entirely because of Russian destruction of its existing Soviet and then post-Soviet defense material as well. So it's just a matter of time. There's a recognition in Berlin, and there has to be everywhere across the Western Alliance supporting Ukraine that at some point Ukraine will be only fighting with NATO standard and Western developed weapons as long as Russia's invasion continues.